Hello and welcome back, and that is right. Today I want to talk about a brand new Synology. Now this Synology, the DS1522, is the first real formidable entry that we've seen forming part of Synology's 2022 kind of prosumer SMB series. Up until this point, anything that was 2022 gen was enterprise. It was top end, it was all up there in the skies, and we were looking for things that are a little bit more SMB and prosumer, stuff like the old 920 down there. So this is their brand new 5-bay, and although it hasn't formally been announced, a lot of information has been garnered online from lots of different resources, mostly from the East. It has to be said there were some reveals over there on the other side of the world. But today I'm going to share with you everything I've learned about this device so far, what I like, what I'm slightly less sure about, and ultimately why this is another system that has really changed how we see Synology as a brand. A lot of their developments and hardware, and with every time we talk about these new SMB and prosumer releases every 2 years, Synology always seems to surprise us, and this one more than any other has really brought a little surprise to the table there. So the 15222 is a 5-bay SATA system there. It's utilising the same, pretty much identical chassis to what we've seen before in the 1520 Plus series there, but there's been a lot of changes there. For those that aren't aware, Synology has had a 5-bay series for a number of years, but of all of the different ranges they've got in 1 and 2 and 4 and 6 and 8 bays, very few ranges have seen the wide changes every single iteration every couple of years that the 5-bay series has. If you you rewind back to like the 1515 or 1517, these were systems that were enabled with 1 GBE, and they had Intel Atom-based processors inside, and then they switched it up and went Celeron in the 1019 series there. Then they changed up again with a 1 GBE, 8 gig and hugely expandable 1520 Plus, and they've changed things yet again. So the first thing to talk about is the CPU there. Now the CPU inside this system, it's not a Celeron, which really surprised me. It takes advantage of a new embedded Ryzen processor there, and this is the R1600. It's part of the Ryzen R1000 embedded series, so this isn't the first time Synology have dabbled with Ryzen processors there. They were originally looking at the likes and utilised the V1500B in previous kind of SMB and larger business solutions there in a lot of their kind of upgradable series. Now this CPU, I'm quite new to this one. I've been looking into it more and more. From what I can see, it's not going to be utilising conventional embedded graphics as we've seen in previous generations of, say, Celeron processors here. This is a little bit more moving into that Ryzen series mold that we've seen so far in other releases from them. It is a dual-core processor with 2.6 gigahertz per core there. It can be burst up to 3.1 gigahertz when needed, and the system arrives with 8 gig of ECC SODIMM memory there, and again ECC, lovely stuff, but more so it can be upgraded to a staggering 32 gig over 2 slots. There are a couple of 16 gig Synology modules there, so again, lovely stuff. But that CPU nonetheless, I know is going to divide opinion, because as I say, with this 5-bay series changing so much with every iteration, I think a lot of you, understandably, would have assumed that this would have arrived with a Celeron, maybe the N5105, maybe that J6412 series there. We just didn't know. Now, the CPU is going to be great for a lot of file management handling there. It is still a dual architecture chip there, but it's still a pretty good CPU overall. Although, again, I know a number of the embedded graphics crowd are going to slightly disagree with me there. It does arrive with 2 NVMe SSD M2 slots there, 2280, that you can take advantage of Synology's SSD series there to upgrade it to get some of the caching improvements. And again, DSM 7.1 has brought new improvements in that field to the table as well. But another real standout thing for this system is on the rear of it, because we got some pros and we got some cons. Depends how you look at it. It's going to come down to what you think. First and foremost, there is 1 gigabit Ethernet here. 1 GBE is still present on this box. I'm sure it's saying it on the specs on the screen somewhere. This system does arrive with 4 1 GBE ports on this. So again, the door is open to link aggregation, but I think a number of users kind of assumed Synology would have made the jump to 2.5 GBE on this tier in 2022. However, it does arrive with the ability to add 10 GBE. Now, that word ability is carrying a lot of weight there. This system, and maybe this is something we're going to be seeing integrated into more and more of their SMB and prosumer solutions moving forward. We'll have to wait and see. This system has
a little upgrade slot there that allows you to install a proprietary Synology 10GBE module known as the T10G22T1 Mini. That is not a catchy name, by the way. I'm not going to enjoy saying that. Now, this little module there feeding into it allows this system to add 10GBE, and with this system being a 5-bay there, even with hard drives, that's a lot of saturation. I reckon you can hit 700-800 easy on this. And again, remember, you've still got those 4 LAN ports there working inside. Now, this isn't the first time we've seen a 5-bay that can be upgraded to 10GBE. The 1517 had it, but what's really intriguing here is it's utilising that much more compact chassis and allowing 10GBE as an option. So if we look at that, there are those pros and cons. First and foremost, if, and again, that word is carrying a lot of weight, if this is something that gets integrated into a potential 922 or 923 or stuff like that, and that series, that means those having the option of 10GBE for those that want it but don't want to pay for it on day one, or didn't want it at all and didn't want to be charged, that's really good news. The fact that they can add 10GBE, but on the other side, 1GBE is still going to disappoint those users if there isn't at least 4 ports like on this device. Also, this is a proprietary module. You're not going to be able to buy one of these off the shelf. Now, alternatively, it's worth highlighting, just like something we covered on Data News of the Week a while ago, I Hate Seagulls, there was a couple of months ago a release of an M2 to 10GBE adapter. Something that really isn't as common as you think. PCIe upgrade to 10GBE are quite straightforward, but M2 and its architecture and the physical connectivity and having a controller that can manage it wasn't as common. And Realtek, I believe, brought a controller to market that allowed you to connect 10GBE or 10 gigabit Ethernet to that M2 slot. And there's a better than average chance that that's what we're seeing here, or that Synology themselves are developing a much more micro profile 10GBE adapter that slots into this. So again, on the one hand, great that this has 10GBE connectivity to it, but I think a number of users are going to wonder about that proprietary nature of that insert there. And again, until we know pricing and availability for this, we may have to hold fire on that. Now, this device can be upgraded in terms of its storage capability. It's got those 5 bays of storage there, which don't have to be fully populated on day one, but at the same time, if you like, you can bolt on an additional 10 more bays of storage on top of this with 2 DX517 expansions there connected over each side of this. So there's a huge amount of storage potential. And with this system arriving with that CPU inside there, great for file management, as well as a potential 32 gig of storage, and the option of adding 10 gigabit Ethernet as well as the 4 LANs to start with, that's some real serious throughput potential this device has. Now, with regards to pricing and release, that is incredibly hard to nail down. First and foremost, generally Synology have a tendency within these ranges, be it the 2 bays, the 4 bays and the 5 bays, once we see refreshes and follow-ups to existing ranges, they tend to try to maintain that price point, maybe adding 2 to 3% for things like inflation or the increased hardware resource cost there. So I think this is a system that's probably going to center around that 600 mark, maybe 650 there. But again, these things do differ online quite significantly, and we are talking RRP. But again, do take that with a pinch of salt. Now, with regards to availability, because of the 22 series moniker there in the ID, chances are this is a system that's going to arrive before July. More than likely, you're looking at a late May, June release for something like this. In a couple of years ago, when that last 5-bay series NAS arrived on the scene in August of 2020, the other 4s and 2 bays had already been released within a month or two of that. And I do think that kind of hurt perception of that 5-bay because the 920 came first. And I don't know if that's something Synology are readjusting here in their release portfolio. It's too hard to say. I mean, one of the big takeaways from this video, and I hope to talk about this with you guys in the comments, is this new CPU and this 10GBE upgrade. Is this something that you guys hope is going to be in further 2 and 4 bay adaptions? We're just going to have to wait and see. I do want to talk to you guys about this. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Click like if you've enjoyed the video. And of course, it helps me understand what I'm doing right and wrong. Do click subscribe, because there's going to be a lot more new information coming out very, very soon that I look forward to sharing with you. And if you still don't know what quite solution
suits your needs right now, or you're having difficulty ascertaining the right setup for your needs, do take advantage of the free advice section on NAS Compares. We don't do anything to your email. It is completely free. There's donate buttons. Use them, ignore them. It might take us an extra day or so to answer because we are humans with lives, but we do try to answer every single one. It might be a few sentences, but it's better than nothing, isn't it? And it's completely free. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.